Annyeong, it's Mikey here. Now, today I want to thank MCHOSE. They sent me out a really well designed mouse. This is the K7 Ultra. This box already feels really premium to me, and I'm really impressed with the packaging on this thing. Like, the feel that I got was like an Apple mouse packaging. It's crazy. We're gonna have to go right into the unboxing, but please make sure to like and subscribe. Now, starting off with the unboxing of the K7 Ultra. Thank you again, MCHOSE, for sending me this out. I gotta admit, guys, looking at this packaging, this box, and doing it, like, I have to admit that they did an amazing job with this, right? The whole packaging looks amazing. I was quite surprised that it came in this kind of box. I honestly expected, like, what I expected with the last MCHOSE mouse that I tried out, something very simple. This one really felt like they really put a lot of effort into it, making it much feel more premium and almost in a way like opening up an Apple product but as a mouse. This was really cool. They have this like envelope with everything that you need in there. Grips, you get extra feet, you have all the manual, and like it's just a lot of things that is in this box. Now, after we do this, and we're going to be going deeper inside the box itself to take a look and see what we're getting with this whole thing. And it's a carrying case. So this whole mouse is actually built into a box, and then you're also given a carrying case for this mouse. You really don't expect a carrying case for a mouse because, a mouse is like usually you have it on your desk or you just carry it around like with your keyboard, but they actually provide a really nice carrying case with this thing. It's hard case and it feels really great. That is the wireless charger. You also get an extra USB dongle, so you can kind of choose which one you like to use. And you also get a nice braided cable. They even went with the theme with this thing, and you get like golden tips for the USB ports, for like the cable. And then the mouse itself, which you want to hear this. And as you can see here, this mouse has a beautiful design. Like, it's a black with gold, which is one of my favorite kind of combinations for colors. And I really was excited to see how this mouse would look, really. I was wondering if there'd be anything else underneath the case, but no. This is magnetically attachable to the charger, which is really cool. It does take up a lot of space, of course. It's going to be big, but of course we're going to have to see it on the desk and see like how it fits. But we're going to have to weigh this mouse, of course, and see how heavy is it. So I got 51 grams in the first measure, just in case, but it seemed like my scale was kind of going off for some reason. So doing it again, we got 59 grams. And let's hear a sound test. So we've done the unboxing. We've checked out what the mouse looks like. You guys have it right here. This nice gold finish is beautiful. I really love the design and the color scheme of this mouse. I really like the shape of it too. This is kind of like one of my favorite shapes of a mouse. This is the dongle. So this is a 8K dongle that also is a charger. So it charges your mouse. This is super cool. You can actually have this charging overnight, plugged into your computer, of course, depending on the plugs that you're using. The ports is like a USB 3.0 or USB-C port. You can actually keep this and your computer will charge it overnight. Super handy to have. I really appreciate what they provided with this. I really like this mouse. It's really comfortable in my hands. Of course, though, we're gonna have to really try it in gaming, see what the software looks like, and of course compare with some of the mice that I've tried and see how this holds up and is this really worth it. So let's go right into that. So we're gonna have to check out this website and of course check the price. So it keeps going to 108 and then changing around. It's supposed to be $79 USD. The 108 is actually Canadian pricing. The website kept changing it back and forth for me, but it's $79, which is actually a crazy price for this thing, especially when you consider what you're getting with it. You get a PAW 395 sensor, like 3950 sensor. You get an 8,000 polling rate, really cool. You get a really awesome design, 59 grams. So that makes exact sense with my second weight, and it's not too heavy, honestly. Like in the hands, it feels really great. They have the like a magnetic charger, super cool. The dongle is also an 8K receiver too, so really love to see that. It's got an Omron optical switch, which feels really great. It's not too loud either. Quite surprised with the loudness of it. And it has a TTC wheel. The wheel's really smooth, but has that like rigidness to it where like you feel the movement of the wheel. And it is kind of sensitive in terms of the click though, so keep in mind for that. Now, you can see here that it has a 500 milliamp hour battery. The battery on this thing was amazing. I didn't hard charge it for like 2 weeks, and we'll go into like how much is left later. Once we click on here, we can actually see that there's a web driver. Love that it's a web driver instead of having to download something. I personally would like to not have to download much on my computer. And as you can see on the top left, it says less than 25%. That's with more than 2 weeks of usage. I hadn't charged it at all for 2 weeks. Super cool that this thing has a really long battery life. What I'm used to with my Glacier is having to charge it like every 2 days, every day almost. And this thing, like running at 4K, 8K, I was able to last quite a long time. Super impressive. So you could get these lighting choices. The lighting choices is actually for the dock itself, so the magnetic charger, and the mouse itself doesn't have RGB on there. So if you are someone who likes a mouse with RGB, unfortunately this doesn't have it. You do have mode selection, so you have performance mode, gaming mode, extreme mode. You have the polling rates there. It also tells you like the specs your computer should be having to be able to run it with the mouse, and we have to really feel the difference and actually have it running properly. You also have the like line correction, which is going to be like motion sync and like all these things that you have with this mouse. And I love it that it's just a simple web app, and if you wanted to, you can download an app itself. Now, of course, we go into Apex Legends because this is a game that I play the most. And when I play Apex Legends, I like to test out mostly with the mouse wise. It's usually to do with the mouse wheel, because a lot of the things that you do in terms of movement, in terms of Apex, is really mouse wheel related, right? Like bunny hopping, as you can see there. It's very easy to do and not hard at all with this mouse. Like, I don't have any issues with it. I know some mice, it is difficult if it's too rigid for a mouse wheel. Trying to do like tap strafing, doing different movements, and like doing circles. It really is just me trying to test out like how good is this mouse. And as you can see, like the clicks that were going off, the clicks are specifically because, you know, the mouse wheel is kind of sensitive, right? So when I am trying to do it, I'm really like having to move my mouse wheel heavily. And when I do that, I also obviously get clicks. And that clicks means that the mouse wheel is a bit sensitive in terms of the clicking side. Now, in terms of wall jumping, no issues as well. Very easy to control, very easy to do. But again, it's going to be like when you're tap strafing, because it's mouse wheel forward, you might end up clicking something by accident while doing so. Now, one of the things I like to also test is super jumping off like ropes, or like even being able to do rope three jumps in a row. This is because this requires a lot of accuracy and speed with the mouse wheel. And it's me trying to see, is the mouse wheel very good in terms of that aspect? Because as I said, like you do feel like the movement of the mouse, because it goes like click, click, like in terms of the feeling of it. This is what I'm thinking of the mouse is like, it's a little bit difficult to do with the specific rope tech, and will require, of course, practice with that. Now, another thing that I'd like to show you guys with the mouse as well is going to be really shooting the mouse and using it with the guns, right? Like recoil control, things like that. Now, this is something I like to practice in general, especially last season when I was trying to push a little bit higher with the ranks. Mouse control recoil is going to be important as well as tracking. And in Apex, you can really reset recoil like that by moving left and right. This is also another way just to practice, is just to control your recoil from far standing still. I like to practice it with R99 because it's a gun that has a little bit more heavy recoil than say other ones inside Apex. As you can see, like my aim isn't perfect. And in terms of controlling the recoil with this gun, it's not too bad, but I do feel like there's points where like I'm losing control of my recoil. As you can see right there, the second time shooting it, my recoil was getting like really messy. This is something that I personally felt that, yeah, it does require practice. And specifically because of the way the mouse is sized in my hands, it's a little bit big. Trying to also keep it like really good for flicking and like the control of like where my mouse is, right? You want to be able to control your mouse perfectly, right? Know where it is, know where you're aiming, be able to move it correctly. This is something that with this mouse, I definitely probably will have to decrease the sensitivity in game, but keep the DPI same, right? Like you always want to keep your DPI the same. This is just something that I noticed that my movement hasn't been so accurate in terms of my aim with this gun, or with this mouse, sorry. And with practice, of course, you can get used to it, but it definitely feels sensitive, and it's something to keep in mind if you do go from like a higher sensitivity or lighter or heavier mouse and moving around. The next thing I want to do, of course, is in aim labs. So what I'd like to do and test in aim labs is just to see the scores, right? Like when I actually use it, practicing doing these things, you know, what kind of score am I getting, and how can I compare it with, say, the mouse that I used the most, or like to use the most. And with this mouse, what I felt was that I did have to tense my arm up quite a bit in terms of being able to go quickly and move around. This is because I just wasn't getting like the exact movement I was looking for. I kept feeling that I was like just a little bit off in terms of the aim. That comes good with practice, right? That comes with use over time. It just feels like the movement, I have a specific tendency in terms of my aim where I'm always moving a little bit in terms of like when I return back to a specific spot or I reach a certain spot, which is why like my mind subconsciously will try to correct it on its own. That is also one of the issues that I have with certain mice in terms of shape and size. This one is a little bit big in my hands, but I did feel like it was okay, though the accuracy wasn't as best as I wanted to be, right? As you guys saw, like 94, and then the score was 86,000. Now this is me using the Glacier AK, which is a really simple mouse that I like to use a lot because of the size of it. It feels most comfortable in my hand, and this is going to be around the same weight as the Ultra 7K, but it came out to being very similar in terms of weight. So that means like the K7 actually was doing really well for me, and I was getting used to it. Now in terms of this though, as you can see, sometimes like my aim kind of goes off, and you see how I have to shake up a little bit. It's trying to reset my brain and my arm to like really consider where I'm moving the mouse and to get that accuracy into it. Flicking wise, as I said, right, something that I'm not super good at. I used to be better when I was younger, but you know, with age, it definitely has gone down a lot. This mouse though feels really good in terms of that. I wasn't having any issues with flicking. I feel like I keep having my mouse in a very weird, awkward angle with it though, just to feel a little bit more comfortable. As compared to like the Glacier, where it's still on a slight angle, and I do have to lift it a little bit. So that's something I noticed that with the Glacier AK right there, I'm having to lift the mouse to get the perfect aim, compared to say with the K7, which I didn't actually have to lift the mouse to really move it around a bit. Now, in terms of tracking, this is a tracking test. I'm really bad at tracking, and this is something that I definitely should practice a lot more of. But with the K7 Ultra, I didn't feel that it was too uncomfortable to do the tracking. The micro adjustment movements is something that, of course, over time will come with practice, but it did feel a lot more comfortable. And then I think my accuracy with this one was actually a bit higher than, say, some of the other mice that I've been trying. Usually I'm like around the 33%, but this actually was at 35. And of course, we're going to test out the Glacier AK, which is the mouse that I actually had a higher accuracy with before in general, about 34. I think the Pulsar probably was a bit higher. With the Glacier AK, it actually came out to be about 34%. And as you can see here with the tracking, like it's very similar, but I think with the K7, I just did a little bit better, and it's a little bit easier to control, maybe due to the size of the mouse itself. And in terms of the comfort though, like the K7 is comfortable for very good palm grip, while the Glacier AK for me was a little bit more of like a hybrid grip where I can kind of have a little bit more space in my hand, which is nice if you have very sweaty palms. Now, of course, going into an actual game itself. So going into a game is like me testing it out and seeing how does it work in game. Do I get used to it, or do I find like this mouse is a little bit difficult to use? Because there are certain mouse out there that I did have difficulties. One of the ones that in the past that I've tried was the Rapoo. The Rapoo was like way too, the VT3 Pro was a little bit too big for me. It's supposed to be ergonomic shape, but really for large hands. And they specify, right? Like they specify it's for large hands. I just don't have large hands, so it really did feel super uncomfortable for me to try to use it and like play games with it. Now, the K7 Ultra has been really nice, though, as you can see there, like how my aim slightly moves off. This is something that like I really do have I don't know what it could be causing it exactly. It might be just due to my arms, like the muscle like flinching. But that's something that definitely needs for me to practice and get used to. Now, this is a diamond rank game, and I was trying to push a little bit higher in diamond. My aim-wise, I kept feeling that I was slightly off at times with this mouse. I think the micro adjustments that I'm trying to make was definitely different than what other mice have to try. I think I had to do less of an adjustment with this mouse because it was going to the right direction, but then I'm like slightly moving it off. And of course, moving targets is a bit difficult to hit in general. Now, my timing for clicking though, that's something that I need to get a little bit more used to with certain mice. Every mouse, in terms of when you click, or how you click it and where you can click the mouse changes, and that will really affect how you can react and how fast you can react. The K7 for some people with medium-sized hands will definitely feel really comfortable. I think that in general, the K7, like, you have no input lag at all. Like, you wirelessly, it works really great. And the fact that the wireless charger will be like, on your desk as well, and it is the dongle itself, will help a lot. As you can see there, my tracking there was completely off. But as I was getting lost a little bit, I found the target, and then my aim was a little bit better, but I just ran out of bullets right there, which is unfortunate. I thought I could maybe jump over him, but that didn't work out. Now, the nice things about using a good mouse with like AK, and which in Apex you shouldn't use AK because AK can get buggy, but as you can see here, like opening up boxes, trying to do quick armor swaps is helpful, and being able to move around and find what you're looking for is very good. And that's something that's a benefit of having a high sense mouse, or specifically a high polling rate mouse, which really helps with the latency portion. And then that was just my teammate asking for the medkit, so I had to give it back. Now, going into really looking at this mouse, like, I really do love this charger. It's really nice to have because at night I could probably just plug it, like put my mouse on there and just let it charge overnight. Especially because if you have it on like a 3.0 port and you have it set on your computer that allows it to just run, it'll charge overnight, which would be good. Now, I thought it could possibly charge my phone, but no, like the charger does not work with the phone, unfortunately. This mouse, as you can see in my hand, it does look so beautiful. Like, I love the design of it. It kind of reminds me of a Superlight, and much more affordable than a Superlight. The Superlights are so expensive. You're looking at like double the price for Superlight, but this is like a budget Superlight that you get all the specs as well. Now, going left to right, and you see what mouse I have here. So the left is the K7 Ultra from MCHOSE, then it's Acco Pulse 01, which is the heavier mouse, and then we have the Ueden, we have the Glacier AK, we have the Pulsar X2H, and then the Logitech G703. So I think I want to give you guys a little bit more of a close-up view of the mouse and the grips that you can do. So going right into the grip. Now, this is what it looks like from the side of my hands. And of course, I'll give you a measurement of my hands later. So that's like how loud the mouse will be in terms of the click sounds. It does feel really comfortable. You do get like a palm grip. You could do claw grip with it, of course, if you have bigger hands with it. I think that my fingers don't really reach the end, so that means the mouse is a little bit big for me. I like to have the ability to reach a little bit further with my fingers, and that's something that just feels more comfortable for me. Now, this is the Pulse 01. The Pulse 01, you get a little bit more space with that, and let me let you hear it a bit too. The Pulse 01 is a little bit louder on the click side. It does feel comfortable in my hands, though. It is a heavier mouse in general. I do like to have a little bit of space between my fingers and the mouse, just because it does provide a little bit more air to flow through, which I like. Now, this is a Ueden S9 Pro, which I found this was really comfortable because it's a well-balanced mouse in terms of the weight of it, and then it does have that nice like space as well. But of course, let me give you a sound. The S9 Pro, I did really like it, but it is a very big mouse for me personally. Now, the Glacier AK. So this is a mouse that I enjoyed a lot. As you can see, my fingers can reach the bottom. It does feel super comfortable, and you get a lot more space with it. Now, I do want to give you the sound, of course, with the Glacier AK as well, before we go really into it. But the Glacier AK is a mouse that's like really good for people with small hands. Now, this is a Pulsar X2H, which was a mouse that I was kind of found interesting. It's a claw grip mouse, really. It is really good for those that love the claw grip. As you can see, like, just the shape of the mouse really is meant for claw grip. Now, I do want to give you the sound of the mouse. But I would say that one really is going to be meant for those that just want a claw grip. It's not really great for palm grip. Now, the G7 III is an old mouse, but it's something that I used for a while. It is really large and a bit heavier. And I want to give you a little bit of sound as well. But the G7 III, I think, is a mouse that really does require a lot more of like a palm grip because of the size of it and how thick it is. I find the K7 Ultra right now is like a very good midpoint for me with like compared to all the mice that I've tried, especially considering like my favorite is the Glacier AK with the size and shape. It's a really good mouse that's like really in the midpoint of everything. Now, having them all lined up, I want to kind of give you guys like a sound test between like how loud is it? And as you can see here, like K7 Ultra, if you are looking for a mouse that's a little bit quiet on the clicks, it's really great for that. Now, let me measure the mouse for you guys so you can kind of get an idea of how big this mouse is for the K7 Ultra. And then, of course, I'll also give you a measurement of my hand. Now, we're looking at 126 millimeters in terms of like the length. That's like about 12.6 centimeters. The side length as well, you're looking at about 61. So you're looking at 6 centimeters for the sides. And then you're going to have to go with the top down length as well. So the top length, the top of the mouse to the bottom of the mouse lengthwise is going to be 39.5. So like you're looking at about 4 centimeters in terms of that. My hand, as you can see here, my hand is in terms of like from where my fingers are all the way to the bottom of my palm will be about 97.8 millimeters, so about 9.7 centimeters. And then my fingers, like all the top, is going to be about 6.7 centimeters or 6.8. So total length, you can see there, like that's how big my hands are. So you can kind of get an idea compared to your hands what this mouse would be like. The Logitech is like the thickest and biggest mouse that I have, and then the Glacier AK here is like the smaller one. So the Glacier AK is like really on the smaller side. So for those that have smaller hands, this is really comfortable. As you can see, like it's 11 centimeters. The top down is similar, actually at 4 centimeters. It really comes down to like the length of the mouse. And then you have the Logitech here, which is really long. Actually a bit shorter than the K7, but the thickness, like the top to bottom, is over 4 centimeters. So it's like going to 4.3 centimeters. So it is quite high, meaning it's really meant for like a palm grip. I personally really love the K7 Ultra. And then, you know, as you can see here, it's a well-balanced mouse that really slides well. I love the MCHOSE mouses because of like how well they glide. And it depends on the person, right? Some people like mice that can glide easily, or some people like ones that have more friction, so you get a little bit more stopping power. The K7 Ultra I found had a really good smoothness in terms of the feel. It does glide really well and it feels smooth. And when you do have your hands on it, the weight does go on there and you'll feel like a little bit of friction, but it still glide really well. The Glacier AK has a little bit more weight in the head front side. So that's why you saw like it move around and turn. The mouse itself it glides okay, but you will feel a little bit more friction with the the Glacier AK in terms of the feet. It has a little bit more of a grip. The Pulsar X2H actually has a really good glide as well. It's supposed to be a little bit more balanced, but with the front of the mouse a little bit on the heavy side, as you can see, it does feel super smooth, right? Even with the when you put your weight on there with your hands, it does have that really smooth feel in terms of the grip, and a little bit of friction, of course, because the weight's there, but not that bad. It's super like good for gliding. The Ueden S9 Pro, I would say is like one of the more balanced mice that I've tried. The feet itself, it's actually pretty good for gliding, but as you can see there are like stopping points where it does have a little bit more friction, and when you have your weight on the mouse, you will really feel that friction a lot more. The Pulse 01 from Akko is very heavy, so you will feel a lot more friction. Even without the hands on there, you can see that it's not gliding as smoothly as the other mice, and you will notice that quite a lot, especially once you put your hand on there, and you'll feel the weight too. It does feel a lot more friction, and it has a lot more stopping power. This is a Logitech G7 III, which is, for a mouse that is quite heavy, does have a lot of gliding potential. It slides really easily, and then the weight, of course, causes it to stop. Once you put your hand on there with the full weight, you will feel that it does have a bit more friction, but it still feels very smooth. Going over like the mice that I really enjoy, so I used to love using the Pulse 01 or the Glacier AK, depending on like what I was feeling or what I felt with my aim that day. I think the Glacier AK though was like my favorite. It's just the battery was super low. The Pulsar like X2H is kind of interesting in terms of the shape. It did feel good in terms of aiming potential, but I'm just not a claw grip person, so it felt very uncomfortable, even though the mouse itself was working really well for me. The Glacier AK was super good. Like, it's the perfect size for my hand. it's just the battery life dies so quickly, right? Like I'm charging that thing every day practically because it just would be at so low battery. That's why like the K7 Ultra for me was a really good pickup. I'm most likely going to be changing to this one as my daily because of the fact that it's really comfortable in my hands. It's super light. It's not too heavy. It's like the same weight as my Glacier 8K. I think like maybe 2 grams difference. And the fact that it has a long battery life. Like it has this beautiful design. I actually really appreciate the gold black design with this. And it has a battery that's like lasts 2 weeks. Like I was running at 4K, like polling rate because Apex has issues with 8K, and it lasted me so long. I definitely will be switching over to this, and I think you guys should definitely go check this out. So I really do hope that you guys found this video really helpful about the K7 Ultra. I truly am going to be actually changing the mice, like my current mice, which was the Glacier 8K, and replacing it with this one. I love the design of the Glacier. It's really more comfortable in my hands because it's a bit smaller in size, but I really like this mouse. It's got a really long battery life. Like I was really impressed with the battery life that this mouse provides, and it's super comfortable to use and really light. I do like the Glacier, like it's such a nice design of it, but in terms of like actual use, I really have to go with something that has a bit more battery life because I do have to charge the Glacier 8K like every single day, which is not ideal. I would rather have a mouse that can charge once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks. This mouse is definitely doing that for me. So I'll have the links in the description. You should go check it out yourselves because I think they did a really great job. Though I gotta admit, it's not the cheapest out there, but check it out for yourselves. Link in the description. And please go check out the other videos I got, and I'll have to catch you guys next time.